Hello everyone, it's the Apple Shifter here, and I am back with the next Forlorn Classics episode. And today, we're going to be talking about a special little mobile game, which is really not that old, but I still want to talk about it. That game is called Mousebot, Escape from the Cat Lab and shit like that. So, yeah, I'm not going to be wasting any more time about this, so let's do it. So there's actually a little bit of a story here, but there's not really much of it at the same time because they're just simple little cutscenes. So, but anyways, the mini story here is that, these cats are trying to defeat the mouse spot, or at least test it out to see what can stop it, or at the very least, they're trying to kill it by the boss cat by the end. So yeah, that's basically it. And the mouse bot escapes for a potential sequel as he escapes. So, yeah, now let's really get into this game. The gameplay consists of you controlling this, mouse spot, as you can see here, as it traverses through the levels, and it goes through the different obstacle courses that they progressively get more and more difficult as the game goes on. Now, personally, I really like the gameplay here, as it's pretty simple and it's pretty easy to get used to and stuff like that. But at the same time, though, it does offer some challenge, like these slamming down things, for example, getting more frequent and harder to avoid or dodge ever since the first level. And also, I especially like the water level, where you traverse through the water and avoid the bombs. Those are pretty impressive too. I especially like the ones with the buzzsaws and the acid. And yeah, I really like these levels. They're really fun to traverse through. Also, the mouse spot controls themselves are actually pretty decent because it moves pretty simply without too much hassle. And yeah, so that's it for the gameplay. I really like it. It's pretty good. I really like the graphics because they take on a real scientific style, I guess, or I especially like the 3D models of the mouse spot. The mouse spot is my favorite design out of the entire game because, it's pretty chibi, it's kind of cute looking, but you know, okay, I don't mean to make it weird, but okay, anyways, the designs here are still pretty good, and the graphics themselves are really nice visually looking as well. I also like the designs of the different cats, although they do get reused a couple of times throughout the different levels or stages you go through, or at least different locations or chapters you go throughout the game. And the boss cat is cool, I guess, but at the same time, though, it's kind of generic looking for the final boss. I would have expected a more unhinged looking cat by the end. But still, I really like the designs of the levels, especially, as I said before, the acid one, the water one, and the lab one at night, it looks like, or at least it's darkened. Yeah, I really like this thing. I also especially like the customization you can do to the mouse spot, actually, because you can do it with different paint jobs, different accessories you can put on the mouse. Yeah, the customization and the overall graphics and visuals of this game are really nice. Now, there aren't too many tracks in this game, or at least any real memorable ones, because the same tunes keep getting reused over and over and over again throughout the game. And that's one of the very few downsides of this game that I have, is that the soundtrack isn't very creative, because it don't you really go that far in creating different songs for different levels, or at least different chapters of the game. Like the acid level could be a more fire inspired thing, but no, they just decide to just not do that. Instead, they just repeat the same tracks they've been using since the very first chapter. But even with the reused songs, I still think those songs are actually still pretty decent, and I like them, and I found myself a little bit humming to them, actually. So, yeah, that's really all I have to say for the soundtrack, because there's not many songs in this game, or at least any different ones. So the downsides for this game are minimal, but they are still there. For starters, the customization for the mouse wall is pretty good for the most part. It's still sort of limited because you can change the color and add different accessories to it, but you can't exactly change the mouse's style per se, like the design per se, or at least have different types of mouse spots. Yeah, and you also can't change the wheels too. And also, the levels do get a little repetitive after a while because they keep kind of showing the same base, lab per se, like the blue one and like the orange one. They keep reusing different assets like the bombs, the lasers, the buzzsaws, the axes, the crushers. Yeah, everything just sort of gets a little repetitive after a while. So yeah, this can get pretty, boring after a little bit, but they're still fun to traverse through after all, overall. Not to mention the soundtrack, while decent, there are only a few songs in the entire OST, making the entire OST feel very kind of there, just sort of generic in a way. Even then, I actually had a pretty difficult time trying to find some of the OSTs for this game, or at least the different songs, because there were very few of them actually. So, And now we have reached the end of today's Forlorn Classics video. Overall, despite its flaws, I still say that Mousebot is absolutely a game worth playing still because the graphics are still nice, the levels are still pretty good for the most part, and there's a few songs of the game this game does have that are still really nice to listen to. So, yeah, I highly recommend you check this game out, and even more so because it's actually still available to be downloaded on the App Store or the Google Play Store if you have Android and stuff like that. So, this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys have a good day. See you later. Goodbye.